Hello and welcome to another season in the Castle Hill garden. Now I'm a little bit late starting this year, but I did need a little bit of time out this year, but we're okay for time. It's still plenty early enough. What we'll do is I'll just show you what we've done in the garden through the winter since we last saw you, and then show you the progress in the greenhouse at the bottom. Now we'll start in this frame here where we've put the garlic, and there's a few onions at that end as well. The garlic's wintered all right. The garlic has come through the winter okay, as you can see. So we'll give it another week or so, and then we'll give it a little tiny bit of nitrogen just to give it a boost, and then it'll be fine. These beds here, you'll see, have all been prepared for different crops, but we'll talk about that as we come to plant them. This pot here, I'm hoping to put the onions in maybe next week, but I don't know if you can see, but the temperature at the root is 7 degrees Celsius, so it's a little bit cool just yet. If we give it another week, now we're getting the sunshine, it might just warm it a bit. But saying that, this morning first thing, this was all white over with frost, so we're not quite there yet, but I'll show you the onions when we get down there. They've been outside for weeks now, so they might be all right. Now while we're passing, there's 1 or 2 cauliflowers coming, as you can see. Now I keep this heavy mesh on here. It's actually a heavy fleece, and this stops the actual frost from getting too much to the heads as they're growing. But we can take this one, I think. That's a good cauliflower. As you can see, it's just beginning to open, so when they get to that stage it's best to cut them and pop them in the fridge, and it just holds them a little bit. We'll use this one at the weekend, so I'll take this. There you are then, that'll do nicely for the weekend. But there's plenty more coming, as you can see, but we just keep an eye on them to see if they start opening. If they start opening, cut them and take them in, because there's quite a bit of strength in this sun. This bit will go, except for that leaf obviously, go for the chickens. They'll like that. And I give it to them as it is, so they can pull at it a bit easier. So we'll cover it up. There's the red cabbages. They're doing well, quite firm now, so they're not long. Just let them swell up a bit more yet. But there's only, what, 3, 6, there's only 10 of them, and that's just enough for this time of year. Now, on this bed, there's the remainder of the Brussels, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. We'll take one of those as well for the weekend. But on preparation, this will be potatoes this year. So what I'm doing, as like this piece has come empty, I just fork it over quickly while it's bare soil. I put the manure on top, a thin layer, and then I put straw on top of that, and then when I've done all that, I wait for it to rain, which it did do a couple of days ago, and then I turn it over. Now when it's been forked over, it finishes up looking like this strip here, what I did before that one, and then that is ready for trenching and putting the potatoes in. Let's cut this Brussel. This net I have to cover it with is to keep the pigeons off, because they settle on top pecking, and they also poo all over the Brussels, which I don't like. That's why the top of this one is missing, because it didn't look very nice at all. But what I should do I should try. The knife's not awfully sharp, I don't think. I put these bits of polythene on just to stop them falling over. I might be able to pull it up. Yes. The bottom of the Brussel is being pecked at by my chickens, but that's not too bad because the bottoms will start blowing soon anyway. It's getting late season. The top's absolutely perfect, very tight and very nice Brussels. That one's got damage. Look, that was a pigeon. Now here we have the spring cabbages. As you can see, they're coming on very well. That one is not far off ready for cutting, and they all look well. This side is the remnants of the autumn cabbage. I don't know whether they'll heart up or not, but if they don't, we'll give them the chickens anyway. They'll love those. This end, I don't know if you can see, is the last of the kale. We put it under this mesh and it's lovely and clean. I do like it under the mesh. Now these frames are getting a bit old now. One or two are beginning to break. We'll have to get these new frames made, but I'll show you how to do that as and when. I think I've lost several like this, but they've served well. They're good. Must be a good 4 years old now, are they? 5 years. They must be about 5 years old now, so they're done well. Now we might have to wait a bit for the new frames because we just need the price of wood to come down a little. But otherwise, we'll make something of them, I'm sure. Let's go in the greenhouse and have a look. In this frame, there's the onions are there. Look, they've been in here for 3-4 weeks now, and frost been on them and all sorts, but they look well, so they will go into that plot as soon as it warms up a little. There's a couple of trays of pulling onions, spring onions, and a tray of early lettuce that I've put there just to harden it up a little bit, but that will actually be grown in this frame once these are gone. This side I had a few shallots left, so I popped them in here just to grow them on a bit quicker so we can harvest them earlier. They're doing very well. The rhubarb is breaking through nicely now. We'll soon be having a nice pudding. In the bad weather and the rainy days, I've been doing these pair of urns that Gemma gave me. They're not plastic, they're some sort of stone made, so there's 1 or 2 cracks in them I had to fill. I've coated the inside with bitumen and I've given the outside a good coat of stone paint, slate colour. We'll see how we get on with that through the summer, but good pair of pots. There is, I don't know if you see, but there is a drainage hole down there to let the water out now. I drilled that through. They'll serve as well. Yeah. Now hopefully those will go into the courtyard. I'll have to find a base for them, perhaps a round slab, and then they can stand on there nicely. And Gemma, you're not having them back. Now we come into the greenhouse and I'll show you what I've set and what is actually coming up. With the starting later, I've actually decided to try and raise all the plants, that's cucumber, tomatoes, everything, without any heat. Now, although it's a lovely day today now and the temperature in here is 30, as I said to you earlier, it was white over with frost this morning and the night temperature got to 6 degrees in here, and that's not bad to say. All this sun will warm the walls and the floor, then in the night that will radiate and help these plants germinate. I'll just show you what we've got. These are the sort of the easier ones to set anyway. Your broccoli, your calabrese, your cabbage, your sprouting broccoli, and a bit more lettuce to follow that out there. Beetroot is coming through nicely. That one's bolt hardy, and this one is cylindro, which is a little bit behind the other. The cucumbers that are notoriously difficult to get to grow have come up nicely. Saying that, I bought Femspot and then couldn't get it, so I bought another variety, but that hasn't come up yet, but I'm sure it will. Now in here, as you can see, they're the tomatoes, all the varieties of F1 tomatoes that I didn't think would germinate, which are doing. So that's another good thing, that we've actually germinated the tomatoes. I keep these perspex covers on, and at night I cover them up with maybe 3 layers of fleece, and in the daytime, like it is now, I usually have a fleece hanging on this glass wall just to calm the sun down a bit. But I'll put that on now, and then you'll see the difference it makes. The peppers haven't really started showing yet, but they're notoriously bad for germinating quickly. But I'm sure they will. If the tomatoes and the cucumber have done it, they should. But we'll keep them covered. They're leeks and some cucumber Louise that I got because I couldn't get the Femspot, but the Femspot's come up, so we'll be alright on that. I know you can't see it very well, but the leeks are just beginning to pop the heads through now. I took a tray of Bacopa cuttings. I put 2 to each cell, and they're standing well, so they're okay. Sunflowers there and some poppies there. Those are what my granddaughter's put in, and they're coming up nicely. And she's 5, so when she comes again, she'll have to pot them up. With the sunflowers look okay to pot up, but I think she'll struggle with those a little bit. Sweet corn, nothing coming up yet. They've only been in a while. That is early carrot, scarlet horn, not coming through yet. And that will be a tray of little gem lettuce. They won't belong at all, they won't. What to do with the carrot seed, I just keep it covered because it dries out so fast in here, and it saves me keep coming down in water. I'll just put the fleece on here, and I just put that bit of fleece up, and what difference it makes. It stops that, because the sun is so low this time of year and it's very, very strong. It just calms things down a bit for the sunlight. And the other thing is, I always keep the water that I water these with on the bench, and it's always rainwater at this time of year because we get plenty. But that's nice and warm, same temperature as the plants, so when I water this evening now, obviously, and nothing's really burnt with the cold water. The other thing is the geraniums and the fuchsias and the ivy leaf geraniums and the odd trailing petunia that we've overwintered have all been potted and doing quite well. Quite pleased with them. Losses were minimum. All they did was they sat in here all winter with a fleece over them. The fuchsias are just beginning to wake up. What to do when I'm watering, I water the woody bits as well, and it helps them break a bit. I thought this one wasn't going to make it, but if I scratch the bark a little bit, it's still green underneath, so that'll be fine. Some of these geraniums now are getting, as you can see, getting quite big. So if you imagine when we get to planting them out, you'll only want like one of those in those urns and they will fill up nicely. Now that'll be it for this week. Thank you for all the messages showing your concern for us, but we're fine. We didn't get COVID in the end, so we was all right. Now next week we'll look into setting those onions. I shall go through the seed box and see what else wants putting in. I don't want to rush yet though, because plenty of time. I've also got the top greenhouse to open up and clean yet, so I'm a bit late with that, but this one's going well, so it won't take long to get that one up and running. Take care everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye now.